Let's now move on. Viewers, the annual ritual of a toxic silent killer visiting residents of Delhi and its adjoining towns is here. Hanging like a pall of gloomy, large, enveloping cloud, it is invading and choking the lungs, making eyes go teary. Congress MP Dr. Shashi Tharoor underlined the ferocity of the threat it poses with a post on social media, which you can see on your screens right now. The text declared what every Delhi resident knows. Delhi is injurious to health. Open a window or step out of the home. Drive for work. An irritated, rough throat and deep hollow cough is guaranteed. For more than a decade, Delhiites have been suffering it, adjusting to its increasing ferocity and resigning to a life in a toxic gas chamber. This year, there are serious discrepancies in pollution level data. Consider this, the data that we are now going to put out for you. The AQI data, Air Quality Index, from the Central Pollution Control Board. We are just going to show you that data that has in fact come from the Central Pollution Control Board, or CPCB, that claims that the AQI of around 300 is there in Delhi. That's a poor category. And but other tracking platforms are fact-checking the central government's pollution watchdog as putting the AQI level close to 1,000. Yes, you heard it right. An AQI of 1,000. That's beyond hazardous. So let's go across to my guest who is joining us live this evening. We have with us Vimlendu Jha, who is an environmentalist. Vimlendu, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. If Delhi, like a cigarette or a bidi, is injurious to health, do people of Delhi have a choice beyond packing their bags each winter and go to places where their lungs won't choke?
We can't have 25 million people or perhaps 80 million people who live in Delhi NCR evacuate, because there are, it's a great luxury. It's only upper middle class that's able to exercise that choice. And when the doctors prescribe, these days the doctors are writing that prescription that the only way to save your child from asthma or from any sort of pulmonological challenge is to leave the city. But can that be a solution in the capital? And by the way, this discussion that we are having is with regard to the capital of the country. Imagine the air quality index, which is not even monitored in many parts or most parts of our country. And as you rightly said, that imagine how toxic is our air, or how poisonous is this air. We're not even talking about the impact that perhaps this has on public health in that sense. Only in terms of data, only in terms of numbers, that's also is fudged. So we're looking at air quality monitors not working, they've been shut down, and places where it works, there's water sprinkling that is going on. Ideally, the citizens should have a right. It's their fundamental right to know how polluted air there is. If the governments have actually failed phenomenally over last one decade in fixing the clean air, they just can't do a perception management, perception cleaning by not showing us how toxic it is, because it's actually in many ways criminal neglect or criminal act, in that sense that you're not telling me how poisonous my air is, so that I could perhaps make certain choices if I'm allowed to, or if I can afford to, in terms of whether I want to step out,
right,
or challenges. Why are schools not being shut? I don't understand. Why do we not have a lockdown? There are more people who are dying in our country because of air pollution than people died in COVID. If COVID could trigger a lockdown like a situation. So therefore, only to save face and image and perception, we are actually throwing people, children and elderly, to breathe this toxic air.
Right. And it's an annual issue. We discuss the same problem year after year, and suddenly when the weather gods, bless us, things change for us. Otherwise, on the ground, nothing really changes every year, by the way. We just forget, as Delhiites also. Is this a problem that can never be solved, just like the problem that we see in Gurugram every monsoon season? I mean, is it that kind of a problem? Can there be something that can be done?
There's a lot that can be done, and the world has showed us. And imagine such intense economic activity country called China, and its capital called Beijing was able to clean its air that can only happen if there's political will. And as you rightly said, this is not just about quick fix band-aid solutions. You can't just, sprinkle water over trees and buildings and over the sky for those days and just hide the pollution or switch off the monitors. We all know that 40% of air pollution in Delhi and Delhi NCR takes place from transport sector. And therefore, we will have to really look at how do we fix our vehicular pollution sources. So rather than addressing the symptoms, we will have to go to the sources. And if there is political will, if there is collaborative action, we will be able to find it.
Absolutely. So essentially, you're saying that instead of the knee-jerk reactions that we are seeing this year, just like every year, we need to prepare for this kind of a situation and tackle the root cause, the real causes of pollution, which are also there throughout the year. Thank you very much, Mr. Vimlendu Jha. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. We'll slip into a very, very short break right now. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.